Hello, and welcome to Unapologetically Black Unicorns. I'm Keris Myrick, I'm the host, and this week I will actually be the guest. And why? So, this week in America is Thanksgiving week. And I thought, let's try and do a special episode where we just talk about giving thanks. What are we thankful for? I find myself, quite frankly, struggling with this a little bit this time of year. Thanksgiving is not one of my favorite holidays. Hasn't been for quite some time. And I tried to think back, why is that? And I remember standing in the aisle of a toy store looking at Barbie dolls. And one year they had a Pilgrim Barbie doll and a Native American dressed Barbie doll. The boxes were next to each other. And I remember picking up the boxes and having Native American Barbie talking to Pilgrim Barbie and actually having this conversation that was around sadness, mourning, anger about the revisionist history of Thanksgiving and how, in fact, standing together was very difficult because there had to be this recognition and reckoning related to a lot of things in America related to the Native American people. And I was having this conversation. I thought I was having it in my head. I was not having it in my head. The Barbies were going back and forth in their boxes, and each dialogue, a script of the dialogue for each Barbie was coming out of my mouth in a different voice. And people were walking by me. Yeah, staring. They were definitely staring at me. I put the Barbies back on the shelf, but even though I put the Barbies back on the shelf, the memory still remains. And I think that's when it started for me to really have a little bit more wanting to have more consciousness about what I was doing during Thanksgiving season. It's important, to be with my family, to be around friends. I think that's important for everyone, that social connection, that belonging, and doing it during a time of intention so that we are paying attention to the fact that we are together. How important is that this year? How important is that from last year? We've been in a pandemic. The beginning of the pandemic, there was a call for social distancing. And social distancing really was about physical distancing while trying our best to figure out how to remain socially connected. Since the pandemic, I have not seen my family for 2 years. I've lost family members. I've lost my cousin, who I called my twin cousin, my best friend. It's kind of like a brother. And that was deeply, deeply, deeply hard. And I'm still grieving, as is the rest of our family. I lost my uncle, who was like another father. When my father went through the Vietnam War, my uncle would come visit from Seattle to be a father figure for myself and my brother while my father was away. So these losses have been extremely hard because we haven't been able to see the people, and also because the losses were so unexpected. And I know this is a grieving time for many people, not just around our country, but around the world. The other thing, of course, that has been happening is everything around racial reckoning. I guess that's why I'm thinking about this Thanksgiving season to even have a revisionist history of the revisionist history of Thanksgiving, and to figure out how it is and how can I show up as thankful in a time when it is still incredibly apparent that being Black in America, being a person of color in America, being LGBTQ2SA in America, I don't want to say it's just hard, but unfortunately it is hard. I cannot walk out of the house. I cannot walk out of my door without wondering, how will someone see me? How will someone treat me? When I walk into a room, I'm always scanning the room. Who in this room looks like me? Am I the only one? That takes an emotional burden. When my complexion is somebody else's complication, it takes an emotional burden. This is what we are going through every day in this country. And yet this week, we are trying to find ways to be thankful. We're trying to find ways to come together. We're trying to find ways to fight for the rights of freedom and purpose and meaning for people who are most vulnerable, people who have, I would say, been put in vulnerable positions. Because are we naturally vulnerable? No, we're not. We have to be a strong people if we've gone through what we've gone through for history and generations, and to still be here fighting for what is right and moving forward. So where do I get to maybe turn this around into something that is thankful? And I guess it's because we are here and people do care, and people still stand up for what is right, and people still work towards having a just society, that we struggle through these understandings and these perspectives and these experiences. It's not easy. Everyone will have a way to relate to what's happening in the world. And I think this is where we, as humans, it's going to be tough for us to come together, but we're still fighting to come together. And that's what's really important. So what am I thankful for? I am thankful that I'm here. I am a person, as you all know, who has a lived experience of a mental health condition. I was given a serious mental health diagnosis, so schizophrenia. I'm also a suicide attempt survivor, but I'm still here. And the podcast that I launched on a special birthday is something I'm very thankful for, because it wasn't something I ever thought I would do. I'm grateful for all of the guests who have shown up, who have spent time having conversation, who have, when asked, even shown up to do panels. We've done UBU live panels for a conference. And that's just amazing that people think it's important for information to be shared around the intersection of mental health, health equity, racism, sexism, homophobia, all of those things kind of intersecting, that we're trying to really have authentic, honest, and unapologetic conversations about. So we have now 26 episodes, I believe. So I'm very, very thankful for all of our guests for giving of their time and sharing of their story and their experience and their wisdom. I'm thankful that I'll be able to see my family, hopefully, not this week, but hopefully in December. I'm really looking forward to seeing my father and seeing my brother and being with other friends on the other side of the coast here. So that's very exciting. And I'm very, very grateful and thankful that that will happen. I'm very, very grateful and thankful that we have found times and ways to try to do better. That's a very simply put way for me to say that, this has just been an incredibly tough time, being, sheltered in our homes, taking care of loved ones, some of us and many of us having to go to work, the people who work in the tiendas and the grocery stores and the hospitals and the schools. And we still had to show up for work and keep things open so that people could stay at home. I'm thankful for everyone who is able to work through whatever struggles they have to get vaccinated. What a choice some people have to make. And people have made those choices for themselves, for their loved ones, and for other people, so other people don't get sick. I'm grateful for people who are able to figure out how to wear masks or how to wear face coverings when they're in public or in buildings, again, for their own safety, but also for the safety of people around them in their communities. I'm grateful for all of the doctors and all of the people who continue to work day and night to help those in most need, particularly those who've been impacted by COVID, people who've been impacted by mental health conditions, and the stressors of, our emotional wellness is at stake here, right? I think everybody is feeling the stressors of it and the emotional toll. And I hope we're giving time and really great appreciation for all of the frontline workers. And again, I consider the people in the grocery stores, the people who are doing the Lyft driving or Uber driving, the people who are bringing the groceries to people's houses, the people who are volunteering to pack groceries and needed items, the people who are, handing out socks and water and food to people who are homeless, all of that stuff. I look to that, and that's where I see the promise, and that's where I see the opportunity, and that's where I see and hold the hope that even though things are tough right now, I see those positive things happening in our society and know that people are good at heart and working towards having a better society. When things come up that are tough, and we know we've had a tough year, this weekend, unfortunately, has also been tough with new rulings around court cases and, gun control and all that kind of stuff. I have to be unapologetic here that that's where it becomes harder and harder to figure out, are things ever going to get better for people of color in this country? Are things ever going to be fair for people in this country? Are we able to look back to the history of Thanksgiving, since this is the week of Thanksgiving, and understand exactly what happened to the Wampanoag people and what happened when they were trying to keep their people and their land safe. And unfortunately, that didn't happen, and war broke out. Thanksgiving, for folks who are from that nation, is a time of mourning. It's a time of grief. It's hard to have a time of celebration while the history that we probably were taught in school as kids turned it into something that was celebratory, when in fact it is something that is really quite sad and filled with grief, mourning, hardship for a whole nation of people. So I want to take this time, and I hope all of us can be reflective on, where we are as a nation, where we are as a people, where we are as a world. Be reflective and thankful for all of the strengths and the good things that we still have and hope to give, and that we could move forward in continuing to look at what is the one small thing, the one medium thing, or the one big thing that we can all do to make life better for ourselves, for our family, for our neighbor, for our community. That one small thing is like dropping a pebble into a big ocean, and it will have a ripple effect. And the more pebbles that we drop in, the more ripples and ripples and ripples. And that's what I'm looking forward to this Thanksgiving, is to be thankful for the fact that we can drop these positive ripples in one at a time to create an ocean of ripples of kindness. That's really what I hope for me, for you, and for everyone. So until next week, when we go back to our regular episodes, I really, really want to thank everyone for listening in today. And thank you so much for, again, being a part of Unapologetically Black Unicorns.